Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Mexpat Dating. Today, I'm going to be talking about why communication is so important in relationships, especially long term relationships. So, we hear a lot in the space like, hey, you got to keep your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions to yourself. Like, you got to be stoic. You can never let a woman know how you think or feel. And I believe this for a long time. I followed these doctrines, I followed these principles and ways of living. And what I found was it didn't really get me great relationships. I wasn't really able to have anything long term because anytime I felt like I needed to say something or bring something up, I'm like, no, this is being beta. This is being weak. I should just be able to have her know what I'm feeling because of my energy and my presence. And yeah, that's great in spirit, but in reality, we're people and that does not work. Maybe it works for other dating other women that don't want to have any communication also, but I've never seen those relationships end up being healthy or even last for more than maybe a few months, maybe a year or something. And there's a lot of drama that happens in those relationships too. So if that's a relationship you want, hey, go for it, rock the stoic way. But for me, I wanted something that was low drama, a lot of fun, a lot of joy, a lot of happiness. And so when I got into my current relationship and when I started my phase of dating, when I was really committed to dating intentionally, I made a video on that recently. You can check out down below. And I really made a commitment to myself that, hey, I'm going to communicate wholeheartedly, fully, and I'm just going to let whatever I need to say or feel like I need to say come out, right? Obviously, I'm going to be wise with it. I'm not going to, whine about stuff all day long. There's a balance to this, guys. So don't take this and be like, well, now I can just, complain about my problems to my girl because I'm being open and transparent. It's not what I mean, guys. I mean, hey, something comes up that is affecting me in this relationship. It's affecting my peace. Maybe it's causing some dissonance in the relationship. I'm going to talk about it and bring it up as soon as possible. That's what I mean, not the complaining, whining, thinking of the girl's mommy that I need to go to solve all my problems too. No, that's not what we're going towards here. In the past, what I would do is I would date women that were, in terms of a psychology perspective, on the avoidance spectrum. So whenever I felt something that would come up and want to talk about it, they would be like, oh, this is weird. Like, you're talking about your feelings. This is uncomfortable. This isn't manly. And because of it, I kept dating girls that, I would never be able to really advance past a certain point because, once that attraction wears off and real, I guess you could say, incongruencies or disagreements in relationships that typically happen because the relationships arise, I wouldn't be able to talk about it and they wouldn't want to talk about it with me. So in turn, I was just in this constant cycle of almost like having to be perfect all the time, because if I did anything that would rock the boat, or I would pray to God as well that they would be perfect, because if they did anything to rock the boat, and then I would be like, crap, I have to bring this up, but I wouldn't want to because I know they would shut down. And so it's just a vicious cycle of just basically these intense highs of like feeling like everything's okay, to like things crashing down and being like, well, I guess I'm kind of screwed now because I can't talk about this or resolve it. So when I got into this next phase of my dating and really was looking for a girlfriend, I said, hey, I'm going to be open and honest, like as soon as I need to be and as soon as I want to be. So what it did for my dating life, and this is why I wanted to make this video, because it's changed everything. It took things from being very, on edge. I was always on ice, making sure I wasn't stepping on any toes, to suddenly like feeling that I could trust the person I was with and have a honest adult conversation because all of us are adults here and we want to have that mature relationship. I mean, unless you don't, but I imagine if you're watching this channel and this video and you've come across our channel before, that you're somebody that wants high quality relationships, not the whole like, teenage drama stuff that you see on TV. So how has this looked over the course of my relationship? Well, there's been many times where something would bug me. There'd be something that my girlfriend was doing that didn't quite sit right with me, whether it was a gut feeling or whether it was something that I really had as a firm boundary in my relationship. Sometimes that would be crossed a little bit. And I think something that I've learned over being communicative is that typically, like, she never meant to do anything harmful. And people typically don't mean to hurt you. And I think that was a really important lesson to me, that like people aren't out to get me. Sometimes it's literally just a misunderstanding of not understanding on her end that like, hey, this is important to me. So I needed to, in turn, communicate that. And because we're new in a relationship, that's the process of building a relationship. You can't just like date someone and be like, okay, I know everything that bugs this person after our second date. There's going to be no problems going forward. I can adjust accordingly. No, we're all different people, and everyone has their preferences and things that are important to them in the relationships. Something that might be totally cool with you might be an absolute deal breaker for me. And I had to learn how to be able to say that in a healthy and mature way. So, as an example, she would be late sometimes. And in the past, I would let that slide because I'd want to hook up or whatever. But very quickly on, I said, hey, listen, babe, like this is something that I totally get it. It's a cultural thing. In Mexico, they're typically pretty tardy. It's kind of part of the culture. But I'm like, for me, babe, it's really important that, if you say you're going to show up at a certain time, that you do, because it's a respect of my time. Same that when I'm going to go meet you somewhere, like I show up on time. And that was actually something she noticed. She's like, literally, you're on time every time. And I'm like, yeah, because I told you I was going to be on time. Like, to me, it just, it didn't, to me, it's just a no-brainer, and it's something that is like a really important value to me. And obviously, I think it's a little more important and widespread in the West, in America and Europe or whatever, which is a good thing about those places. But in these Latin countries, it's not as important to a lot of people. So I had to set that boundary and communicate that this is affecting me. And she was very understanding. She didn't throw a fit. She didn't try to deflect the blame and make it about me, which is a sign of narcissism, which you want to stay away from. But she was really open to it. She's like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't really know it was that important to you. It's obviously kind of a loosey-goosey thing here. So I'm going to work on it. And that was a big key to me. And because I communicated that as soon as it was an issue, she was willing to make the change. And what the big key was that because I brought it up, had I not brought it up, I would have built up a lot of resentment. I would have been like, oh, she's like wasting my time. But if I didn't have the courage to say anything or communicate that, it wouldn't be fair on her if I were to blow up and get really angry at her. So that was a big lesson for me as well, is that me saying what I want to say and communicating it right off the bat, it's actually important for her too in the relationship. It's not just about me and feeling like my needs are fulfilled. It's actually going to prevent for her to feel like that it wasn't like fair because I was angry at her this whole time, but never even said anything, right? That's how I used to live a lot of my life. That's how I had a lot of my relationships. That's how I kind of grew up in my family dynamic as well. We never really talked about things that bugged us. We just kind of swept it under the rug or acted passive aggressive. And I was like, I do not want that in my relationship at all. I want to be clear, concise, and communicative off the bat. And to this example of being late, it's come up a couple of other times. And, I was like, hey, babe, like, look, I get it. You're not going to be perfectly on time every time, but just let me know. Communicate that to me if you're going to be a little bit late, and I'll understand. Versus like what happens is sometimes, people don't, you've had it before if you've been on a date, they don't even tell you and they just don't show up, or they're an hour late and they've never even communicated. It's immature. And I'm like, hey, we're not going to have that in our relationship. Another thing I really communicated was the importance of exercise. Like, hey, babe, we got to be working out. I want us to work out together. I want us to be eating healthy and this was what showed me she's a girl worth taking serious, is because she really listened to those things and dialed it in. She dialed in her exercise. She's dialed in her health. She eats very healthy. She doesn't eat sugar. And I'm just like, wow, this is like exactly what I'm looking for in terms of my physical and nutritional life. Somebody that I can be healthy with and go to nice restaurants, but have something without sugar and a bunch of crap in it. So that was a big thing for me. And because I communicated, hey, babe, for me, like this relationship, I need you to be active. I need you to be eating healthy. That's a no-brainer. And the key, guys, one of the keys I want to point out in this video is when you communicate a boundary, it's really important to go in with the energy and the mindset that they don't have to follow that boundary. And I'm going to give them that permission, right? I think where things can become more controlling and be more on the narcissistic side is like, hey, you need to do this. Do this, or ultimatums, or I'm leaving you, right? Kind of coming out on that way, because then it can kind of bully the person into maybe behaving the way you want, but it's never going to be out of like authenticity. So the way I framed it was like, hey babe, I just want to let you know this is a really important thing for me, and if it's not something that's important to you, that's okay, but I would ask that you let me know now so I can move forward accordingly. And if so, I would love for you to embark on this next adventure with me in this way, and would really appreciate it. So because I framed it like that, there wasn't any pressure for her to do it Obviously, there is a little like internal pressure, like, okay, well, this is a boundary for him. If I don't do this, well, then I maybe risk him walking away from her perspective. But for me, it was like, but it's not like it's nothing controlling. It's not like, I think that's the whole control narrative that goes on around dating right now, is because people set boundaries, but they do it in a way that's like black or white, like all or nothing, ultimatums, right? And ultimatums actually are a form of manipulation. So we don't want to be doing that, guys. We want to come at it from a very neutral standpoint and from a very calm energy that invites the other person, invites the girl to behave in the way that you want, or hey, no worries. And something also that is a really important, guys, is you want to let the girl know that if she has anything that she needs to communicate to you, that you are open to hearing that. I said that to her right off the bat as well. Like, babe, if there's anything that's bugging you about me, that anything that you're thinking that I'm doing that you don't find healthy or appreciative, I want you to let me know. And she has a couple of times, like, letting me know that, hey, sometimes I feel like, a little bit of pressure, like, because I know you have a high standard of living and excellence. And I just wanted to let you know I'm trying my best. And so she has been communicative in that way sometimes. And that's really what communication is this, it's the ability to say, hey, like, I'm being vulnerable with you so that maybe I can learn to trust you more. Right? Vulnerability, right? Big no in the dating space. Like, you're being vulnerable, right? And again, there's a spectrum to this, guy. So remember, when you hear something on YouTube, don't take it black or white, because a lot of times, like, they'll put things in very blanket statements, but it's really about context and about what situation you're in. So when I say be vulnerable, I don't mean go cry to her like, oh my god, like, my boss yelled at me at work. My mom hasn't talked to me. No, guys, like, come on, like, let's be real here. Let's use some common sense. What I mean is that, hey, this makes me feel a certain way. How can I maturely bring this to you? Because it's affecting the relationship. Because I want this relationship to go well. And that's something I always prefaced after I brought up a boundary or something that I needed to get off my chest, is that, babe, I'm doing this not because I'm angry at you, or, well, maybe sometimes I'd be angry, but I'm not like ashamed of you or want you out of my life. I'm bringing this up so we can resolve it fast and become closer. And that's something too that I want us to work through this and have a healthier relationship where these things, like, if we get these over with now, they won't come up in the future when we're more invested in each other. Because I want to have the happiest, healthiest, drama-free life that I can. And of course, I want a woman in it. And so I want her to add to that instead of subtract from that. So I really preface it as like, hey, I'm bringing this up so you and I can be closer, not so I can control you or so I can have my way. No, it's so we can be in more alignment and more harmony, and then obviously have more fun and, live a happier life together. Like, that's the main goal of it. And the last piece I want to touch on in this video is that communication is only going to help the relationship. People, it's uncomfortable in the moment. I get it, especially if you grew up in an environment like I did where communication didn't exist. When you learn how to communicate and you can do it quickly, you'll just find how, like, closer you get with the person. Because, like, a big thing is that conflict resolution builds closeness. That's like a huge thing in the psychology space around attachment and, like, identifying like what attachment style you work best with, which I'll make a video on in the future. So, like, for example, when you date an avoidant woman and she doesn't want to have conflict resolution and she doesn't want to talk about it, you guys don't get closer, right? You guys get further apart. So the sooner you can talk about something and resolve an issue, whether it's for you or whether for her, the closer you guys will get. And there's been times I've overreacted about things. Like, there's been things that, I would get triggered, but maybe it wasn't as big of a deal as maybe I believed it in the moment or felt it was in the moment. But because I brought it up and talked about it, we were able to resolve it. And I was able to see that, okay, like, yes, I overreacted to this, and I was able to let her know that. And so she was able to understand my patterns and some of the things and the ways that I behave, so that, like, if something comes up again, which things have, like, it's nothing against her. It's my thing I have to work through. So that was a big moment for me and a big learning experience, is how to take accountability for my own emotions and my own thoughts. So in regards to resolving conflict sooner, the sooner you guys can bring something up to a woman, whether even it's on the first date, you guys have been dating for months, you guys are on the third, fourth, or fifth date. Obviously, if you're on the beginning stages of dating, don't spill your heart out too soon. But you can start to, like, hint at things that are important to you. Hint at maybe health, fitness, maybe things with money. Here's a really good one, guys. I had to be like, hey, babe, like, I'm happy to pay most of the time, but I do want you to contribute and I do want you to show that, I do want you to put in a little bit of effort sometimes when we go out. And because of that, and she took that really well. I'm like, no, you're the guy. You're supposed to pay. I'm just here to show up. No. But if I wouldn't have said anything for, 6 months now and then brought it up and it was something that was like enraging me, that wouldn't have been fair on her. Or for me, if I would have waited and then found out she's not somebody that ever wants to contribute or say thank you or anything like that, then I'm like, shoot, I just wasted 6 months with a girl who's ungrateful, which I'm not okay with either. So because I brought that up right away too, I was able to see that, oh, she does appreciate it. She just needs a little push sometimes to maybe contribute because she is used to that traditional culture in Mexico where, the man leads and the woman follows. So one of the biggest takeaways you guys can get from this video is that the sooner you can communicate with a woman on some of the things that you value and are important to you, the closer and the stronger the relationship will become and has the potential to become as well. A lot of you guys that we meet and that you're probably watching this video, you want something long-term eventually. You don't just want to be, swimming around for your whole life. And one of the hardest things about getting into that is learning that, okay, I'm dealing with another person now. It's not just like a notch or like some girl I can use for some pleasure. It's actually, okay, like this is a human being. Obviously they've been human beings the whole time, but there is a different energy when you start to realize like, okay, this is someone that I might be spending many years with. So I need to figure out how to make this as good as I can. I'm going to make a lot more videos, guys, on communication and healthy relationships because this is something that is really important to me and I love talking about. It's something I work on every day, healthy communication, all that. And I'm really excited to be able to share it with you. So if this is something, guys, that you resonated and you're looking for some support and accountability and building your relationships, starting to build your dating life, I definitely invite you guys to schedule a consult. I definitely invite you guys to fill out the application down below to work with myself or Jared, who specializes more on the online dating side. I specialize in cold approach and have been able to help a lot of guys be able to start to unpack some of the mysteries around their dating life and kind of figure out for themselves, what do I want in a relationship? How do I start setting healthy boundaries? How do I start dating the women that I actually want to be dating and that are good for me? And as well, if you're in the beginning stages, have helped dozens of guys as well start to build their dating life, how to get dates, how to start even talking to women, how to overcome some of their doubt and insecurities around being social and the whole spectrum that goes along with that, how to actually get a number, basics to advance is like what we cover. And, everyone's on a different part of their journey. And so everyone has a different story and a different set of needs that they need in their own dating life. So my goal is to be able to help you with that as best as I can and really be able to identify some of your weak spots so I can be an accountability for you so you can start to uncover those blocks and start to build that dream dating life. So guys, I appreciate you stopping in the video and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.